it the same one we have in our computer
The Cali?
or on our desktop? Yes.
Yeah, perhaps. If you had saved it there. Okay, so today we are gonna do a little bit of FTP. I think I did a similar run in my 41A. But for the 27B class, it's slightly different configuration. So I want to walk you over on how to use Linux to enable your FTP server and then also scan against it, right? So we're basically building a test server and then use it to scan as well. Okay. So you would visit Kali website, you would download the virtual machine. Once you download it, right, make sure that if we are using Edge, we do a save as and then save it to your downloads folder. That's important because I think a lot of times you guys don't know where it's placed. And then we would open the compressed folder. We want to extract the folder, okay? Just like before, once you download it, you're going to right click, more options, use 7-zip, and then extract files. So part A was just the same thing as what we've done a couple weeks back. And at home, you would have to install 7-zip. So once we extracted the folder, you would see a non-zip symbol or the no 7 right here. We want to open that up, open its subfolder, and then double click the blue icon file. Okay, we're going to click start. So as we're following the step, it just helps us in part A how to download Kali and load Kali virtual machine. It's going to take a minute or so to load. And while it's doing that, I'll talk about FTP server. So FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. We covered a little bit of it earlier. We can allow the client to upload files, share files, change folder, and so on. It's a way for us to distribute files. So for example, I might have many forms, right, for my customer to fill out, and they can access my FTP server to download the file and upload it. Does it mean that it's secure? No. Right? There are many ways that we can do this now using a similar thing and then setting up a database that's tied to the user account and the documents. But FTP can be used internally with the company for file management purposes, like to share file, download files, and upload files. You can have FTP websites that would be span across multiple systems. So on Linux, we are going to use vsftpd. This is created for Linux, and you often see the integration for this with different Linux distribution. So today we're using Kali, which is Debian family, and we simply have to install it and use it. It does allow pluggable authentication module. It is secure. Right, hence the name very secure FTP daemon. And you can allow virtual user and user login. It does store a shadow file of the password. And it is virtual users are more secure than your real user. Now, we can utilize FTP for different purposes, but you often see that SSH is the replacement for integration with FTP for secure FTP. So when we say secure, it's secure to a certain extent. It depends on what you allow and what not. We'll talk about that with anonymous user. Okay, any question? So do part A, just like what we've done 2 weeks ago, download and extract and access the decompress. All the steps are listed there. Make sure we save our file to the desktop or downloads. So once I have my Kali, I'm gonna log into Kali. And I can close out the little X. If you try to open the file before decompression, that's why. So right click, and then remove one. And then move, and then choose the middle. The file. Yeah, see, it's in the text folder, you do the same thing. I need to find where that, so we need to find where that is. This Microsoft Edge, it puts it on the tech application. So click it, shut it. And load it from the unzip folder, but one of that was it. Yeah, you need to put it back to the box and then put it back. All right. So first we're gonna check to see if FTP is running. So you're gonna access Kali on its desktop. We're gonna click the terminal. And then we're gonna go ahead and type in FTP localhost. Simply asking to see if FTP service is on our local system, this virtual machine that I'm using. And it tells me that it's not because it's trying to connect and it's not successful. And here is where when you're using FTP, if it has that installed, it's gonna take you to its command line. It's gonna have the FTP arrow. So we are going to type in BYE, to get out of its command line. Right? We're in the terminal. We can get into certain application command line, the CLI, by typing its command. So I just did step 1 and I exited my FTP console by doing because I know it's not there. Connection refuse. So I have to start the service, right? What's the point of scanning the FTP if it's not available? That's boring, right? You won't see anything. So now we're going to do an update because we're going to install and enable things. So you're going to do a sudo apt update. And it's going to ask you for your password. So just type, don't look at the cursor. So I'm at step 3. This is going to take about a minute or so to do an update. Now to elevate my user account from Kali user to root user, and you don't have to do this, but you have to do sudo for each one. I left the sudo on there, but you can do a super user or a sudo su like this. So I'm going to change my account now. I'm going to go from Kali to root. Okay. But we got to be careful with the way we look at this, right? You know that at some point, if you close the terminal and open the another terminal window, it's going to take you back to Kali. So look at what user account that you logged in. And so if it's throwing an error, likely that maybe you don't have, if it says privileged or permission denied, it's because you're on as a different account or you don't have root privilege. Okay. So when I do sudo su, I basically changed my account from Kali to the administrator's account, which is root. Then I'm going to go ahead and install the vsftpd, because I looked for it earlier and it wasn't available. So we're gonna do sudo apt install vsftpd, right? You can copy and paste as well. FTP UFW. This is the firewall, and yes. So I'm doing 2 installation at once. So the software in Linux, when you do an install, you simply tell which software. And here I'm doing the vsftpd, and then the FTP, right? And then the firewall. And I would use the option Y just because sometimes it prompts you yes or no. So we can just do a -Y. And so this is going to take a little bit longer than just doing one application install. Go back. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Any questions? Okay. So I'm on as the root user. I'm installing, right? I'm going to go ahead and do the enable. And so here you're going to do a system control enable the service, right? And this you need root privilege. So technically if I'm on as root, I don't really need to do sudo, but we are going to issue it. Okay. So it tells me here, make sure we read this, right? And the terminal, it says that it created the link in this directory and for that service. And then I can check the service status. Actually, so when you enable this, okay, so the difference between these two, because sometimes my students, they get confused. They're like, why do we enable and why do we start after that? When you enable, this is going to activate when you reboot. And we're not rebooting, so you have to start. Okay. And nothing is really happening there. So if you don't see any kind of text, that's okay. It went through. Okay. But now on the next command in step 8, service vsftpd status, that's just going to tell you to let you see whether it's on or not. Right. So when we issue this command, you can copy so you don't have to type. Sometimes that could slow down some students. So when you do a status, what that does is going to look at what was loaded. So I know that it is actively running. Okay. So if you start your FTP, right, and that service is enabled, it should say actively running. Any question? So here, I'm going to go ahead and leave this open, right? Because if you quit, it's just going to get out of that. So I'm going to open another terminal and notice that I'm on Kali again. So I'm going to do a sudo su. So let me edit my view. Sudo su. Back to root, right? And then password.
Casey, this keeps a boarding file.
Right click. Right click to remove. Middle, remove only. Okay, show me your folder where you got your file. So click back here. Then I want you to go back 1 step. Go back one more. Go back one more. This is downloaded last week. Go to your downloads folder, double click or click them. Yeah, so let's right click this and delete. Then right click this. And then choose show more options. And then 7-zip, extract files. And then log into Kali when it loads, or double click the folder once it's extracted. So once that green bar is done, remember we did this many times. 7-zip, wait, cancel. You're gonna not click so fast, right click? Show more options. 7-zip. Third option, F5. Yep. No, okay. Right, wait till that's done. See how this folder pops up?
Yeah.
Once that's done, open up that folder, double click it, and then double click the blue file. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Back to this. So we're in the second terminal window. My first one, right? And then you can always go here, go to the second one. And then I sudo su, so I elevated my privilege from Kali to root. And then now I need to find my target IP. So type in IP address. Earlier we talked about IP address. So your INET is the IP address here in purple. So the loopback is on top. So whenever you see the 127, that's a loopback address. It comes back to your system. That's how the system can see itself being connected. And then the second purple address, the INET, is your IP version 4, right? And that's to your F0. The virtual machine sees all connection as an Ethernet connection, unless you tell it it's a wireless connection. So we didn't reconfigure, so it is an Ethernet connection. And then your CIDR is /24. It means this. So I'm gonna type down the IP address. .0.2.15. That's the default Kali Linux IP nowadays, right? And then the subnet mask, because the CIDR is 24, it really is represent 255.255.255.0. Why is that? Because I'm going to say or, okay? Because this is 8 bits, right? 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 8 is 24. That's your subnet mask. Or in the system, you would see. So when I look at the IP here, see how it's CIDR 24? I know that CIDR 24 represents this. If it's CIDR 8, like this one right here, it's just 255.0.0.0. Only the first 8-bit is on. Okay. So the system, the router is really simple. Just check for on and off bits because it's a computer, right? And that's how it can tell which zip code and your network address. Okay, so once we have that recorded, we're gonna do an FTP localhost. And then now we know that it's connected, right? We're good here. So we're gonna try anonymous. As the username, and then the password, we'll try password. Okay. Oh, sorry, let me redo that again. Is it blank or password? It should deny me though. Yeah. My memory is failing me. Okay. So, you can, if you try password, take a screenshot of that. Can anonymous user log in? Not now.
Password is password.
Yeah.
Is all open.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried not opening it.
Okay, I'll be right there. Let me try blank to see, because yeah, it's not supposed to let you log in.
Oh. okay.
Yeah,
So
even
just
though it's
screenshot.
on, yeah, because we haven't configured it. Screenshot it like that.
Opposed to say you can't connect, is that?
Yeah. Continue. So when it tells you fail logged in, I'm gonna show you why. Right, like that. They don't have to get it out of the library. So what happened is when you download from Microsoft Edge, which is this right here, which is still on, Microsoft Edge put it in a temporary location, not your download folder. Okay, so we gotta know where that is. Okay. The folder. So just up here. This is the folder, it's not going to sit, maybe on this one. Just double click this and this is that. Because once you fail loading it, if you have the same machine name, it doesn't like it, it's gonna abort again. You have to remove it from its list and then find it and open it again. Yeah, so when we get here, you can take a screenshot for A. Can they log in? No, right? So that should be a question mark. All right. So now we can try it again with the Kali. It's not gonna let you. This is normal, I put. Okay, so coming back to the CLI, from the CLI, we're gonna do a buy. So we're back to root, and we're gonna do a sudo nano etc vsftpd dot conf. So we are gonna modify the setting for the FTP server through changing the configuration file. And it's gonna look like this. I would recommend, right? I didn't write the steps in here, but normally we would copy the comp file and create a second copy and modify the copy and so on. Okay. So all of you, whenever you see the hashtag, that is a comment. So it's not seen by the system, right? So what you're gonna do is use your down arrow key to move it down. And what we need to do is we are going to look for anonymous enable. So move it down to that line. Just keep the arrow key down till you get to that line. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's blue. So this one, see how it's no? You're gonna take out the no, backspace, and you're gonna type capital yes in there to match this 19. And then you're gonna do it for the next one. You're gonna go down. You're gonna find local enable, make sure that it is yes for our local system. And then go down, right? We're gonna remove a non-upload enable. We're gonna try to like open this up and lower its security a little bit and see. Okay. So you have to go down. There's upload enable. So you're gonna move your arrow to that line and then take out the comment. So now it's white. So whenever it's white, the white command or the white setting that's in this file, when we save it, it's going to be seen for that system. Okay, it's going to be seen by that system. And then we're going to go down to, we're going to allow the anonymous user to make a folder. So just delete the hashtag. Okay, so I'm at 22. I think I passed write enable already. Yeah, so move up. Sorry, I had it out of order. Take out write enable above anonymous upload. And then we're gonna go down to change root local user. So chroot. And we can only use the arrow for this, right? Not click. So all of these are settings, right? So if you want to change more setting, you simply go to the setting and then you can uncomment or add in, which is what we're gonna do. You can also write its configuration file. So chroot local user, I found it. So write and then backspace. And then we're gonna copy and paste this. Copy and then go to the end. So move your arrow all the way down to the end of the file. And then we're gonna paste. Right click, paste selection. Okay. So you can add, see how there are keys right here for login. So basically, what are we adding, right? This question didn't come up from my 41A class, but whenever that you change this, try to see. So you are gonna have a passive port that's gonna be tied to the 40,000, and the between 40,000 and 50,000 is gonna be your min and your max port. You are gonna enable a user list, hence AKA access control list. And you're gonna add a user to it later in the later step. The file for those user is gonna exist here. Okay. And we're not gonna deny the users on that list. And then for the local root, the FTP is gonna be located here under each user account. So they each have an FTP folder. And for the user subtoken, it's going to be based on the user account that we create. Okay. So once you have all of those, then you can type or you can copy and paste them. We're going to save the file. We're going to do a Control X. And it's going to ask us, do you want to save the difference? We're going to say Y for yes. And then press enter to save the same name. So 26 tell you to do Control X, then press Y, then confirm by pressing enter, okay, to save. And because we changed the setting, you should restart your service. So we're gonna do a sudo service, restart. For some time, so let me see. Yeah, let's go with this for now. Because sometimes you have to do a start with the system control. All right. For the next part, we're gonna open up the firewall, because remember that earlier when we did the UFW, that is actually the Linux firewall for the universal firewall. So we have to add the ports that this thing use in it, right? You gotta allow it. So we're gonna look at open ports, and I'm gonna teach you how to do this, not just for this, right? Whenever that you need to, on Linux, on the Debian Linux, you can use this to listen for the port. Okay, you can use LSOF. And so it tells you here, and we're gonna filter the word listen. So to see what system or what service is listening. And we see that this is the service, right? The one that we just enabled, the FTP port 21, you see? And then we're gonna do a net stat to see the connection and the listening filter. So this is basically giving us kind of the same result, but in using different command, right? Here we would see, and on this one, it tells us also port 21. So it's two things that we can use to kind of verify one and the other. So the question for 28, it says what port's listening to vsftpd? And you can see the listening value, right? 21. We learned this just now, port 21. And then on the vsftpd, on this one, you see how this is, it's using 13432 on the root level, but it's communicating at port 21.
I have a question.
Yep.
I'm getting this, but I'm not getting anything else. The FTP, a normal.
Yeah, that means it starts successfully. We learn. Yeah, if it's not throwing anything, that's a good thing.
So just go to the next one.
Yes. That means you just start the service. It's running in the back. Okay. So now we're going to go to the next. We're going to check the firewall, right? Because remember that we're using these port. We want to make sure that the firewall has that. So sudo ufw, whenever in Linux you see this, that's firewall status. And it tells me that, oh, the firewall is not on. It's not working yet. We install it, but it doesn't mean that it's working. No, right? So there's multiple steps. You install, right? You enable or start it, and then you configure it. Okay. So here, what's the status? You can say it's inactive. That's what it says here. We installed it earlier, but it's not ready. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the rule to it, and then we'll start it. So we're going to configure it. So I'm FTP connects 20, 21, and 990, right? As required. That's in their documentation from earlier. So, and it uses TCP suite. So we're going to go ahead and paste that. So if you want more ports, you just need to separate it with a comma, and then you just add. Okay. So what that does is going to add these ports to the rules of my firewall that's not yet started. I forgot to have captions. All right. Then what we're going to do is, because remember earlier in the previous section, we had enabled this, right? The port range. So for the clients, that means that the system that's connecting with the server is using these ports, but the system that's coming in, that's connecting to the server is going to use these ports in this range. So what we're going to do is we are going to set up the rule for that connection as well on the firewall. So now we're going to add the ports for the clients. And then after that, you're going to check. So verbose just means that it's going to show more details if it has it. Verbose just means more text. And in this case, I only have one line, which is the same as this, right? But in other technologies or application, you might have other things that it would show. So take a screenshot. I want to make sure that you know how to add the firewall rules. And we know that which port do we allow connections. That's easy. Ports 20, 21, 990, 40,000 to 50,000. That's in your command already, you should know.
Which one of the INET address of the system?
The second purple one. The 10. I want to make sure. I think I forgot a step, you guys. I might have deleted it. I'm gonna try some. I forgot to. I don't think we started it, right? Yeah, we only start the service. Yeah, we only start this right here. Okay. Which one? The U. Okay. So quick fix. Okay, when you get to to 32, after you execute 31, okay, you need to start the firewall. Otherwise, this is not going to show you anything. So we're going to do a sudo system control, start UFW.
Basically, I will find a subnet mask.
It's that /24, which is 255.255.255.0. You can put /24. So at step 31, make sure that we start the firewall and then let's try to run the status again. Because otherwise it doesn't work. What's the point of configuring it if it doesn't work? Oh, sorry, let me fix it. It would not work. Why is it inactive? Let me come back and fix this. I think might be other things. You have to restart, I think. Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure you have to restart on this. I'm gonna do that. You can click this. Okay, so what I did was I did two things. I did sudo system control, enable UFW, and then we can start. And then I have to reboot. And see if it's effective. I'm gonna do Kali login. And we can check. So we'll sudo su. So the more exposure you have to Kali and command line, you're gonna get better. You're gonna be like, oh, this doesn't work because, and you can troubleshoot it. Okay, so let's try it now. I'm gonna do a sudo u system control. Just in case, start UFW. And then I'm gonna check for, let's see. Okay, I quit for today. Well, anyway, we're able to, I have to come back and see why. It's separate today. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add the user, okay, for step 33. We're gonna do a sudo add user test FTP. We're gonna create a user called test FTP by doing add user. And we're gonna issue the password. So I would just make it Kali for the user. So just type, don't pay attention to the cursor, and then confirm it, Kali. Just make it easy. And then when you see full name information, just press enter, 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 enter. Just keep going. And then is this information? Type yes, press enter, and it added the user.
On number 14, keep trying to put in the password. It's not.
That's fine. It says, it might say fail logged in.
Yeah.
Screenshot that and say no, the anonymous user cannot log in. That's typical. Okay, so we added the user. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to create, right? We're gonna access this user list from this application. Remember that earlier we enabled the user list option on our configuration file. We gotta add the user account that we created in, and this is how when you make a user for FTP, you are gonna add it to the user list. So you're gonna do an echo, which is a command to create a file and put it in quotation mark. You're gonna put in the username, which is test FTP. And we're gonna pipe, and the pipe symbol is above your enter key, but you have to hold down the shift. That allows you to combine multiple commands on one line, right? So when you do that straight line, that's called a pipe. And then we're gonna do a sudo t -a /etc vsftpd .user list. Okay. Any question? Oh.
Number 23.
Give me a second. I had mistyped. You said 23?
Yeah. Wait, yeah, 23.
Yeah, if you downloaded the file before. Oh, you missing 23? It's actually above the other two. So go up a few lines and you would see it on top before the anonymous. You see it? It's in blue. Oh, you found it? Okay. All right. Yep. Sorry, I had it out of order. I gotta fix that. Let me highlight it so I can edit the document. Okay.
This fellow.
Okay, so we created the file. I had mistyped. I'm off by a space or a symbol. Now you're gonna go back to home. So we're gonna do a cd/home. See, so earlier we're in Kali and home, so we're gonna move back one folder or one directory. And inside it, we're gonna do a make dir test FTP. So we're gonna create a folder called test FTP under home. So if it shows this, that's fine, because I think when we created the user account and we enabled the directory in configuration, it creates a folder for us there. So that's okay. Okay. So I just want to make sure that we have the test FTP folder for the user. And then if it tells you that it already exists, then we don't have to make it. We can do change directory, test FTP. So there are many ways to do this, right? You can set up FTP this way. You can set up FTP using the same package, but configuration file might have more content. So that way you don't have to do a lot of this in the back.
CD permission denied.
CD test FTP. Are you on this route? Are you, does it show Kali right here? Yeah, so sudo su. Just upgrade yourself to root. Yeah, so you gotta go and change, read the instruction. It tells you to use the arrow key. Go down. Yeah, so see how the cursor is? You cannot click. You can only use the arrow key. You wanna go left, so it says anonymous enable. Now you gotta go right and change the word no to yes. I'll make my way down, yes. I was saying, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I think something is hanging it up. I have to figure out why. The ports is gonna be these, the 50,000, and then you can screenshot the inactive, but your port should be 50,000. The 90, so just put down your answer, 50. Okay, so when you are doing the so load on. Don't try to control C from your application to another application. So just that. But it's not showing. Oh yeah, in the next one, it should show you the first one.
I'll come right back. Yeah, sometimes I think it's okay, only later on when you make the directory, how you just. But I think when you're running it with Ellie, yeah, this is gonna be, I don't know why, I think that they did this version of Ellie. Sounds like. You're okay, only when you do like make the directory, the section of here, is when you need to be one. If you are not usually gonna be that. Yeah, but it's not, thankfully, I'm not able to access it now, I don't know. If something is with that, I might have did something here, because when I connected it earlier, for different versions of it. But we can turn it on, I don't know. Yeah, so from that point on, always, even if it brings you back to Alex. Questions? No? And I'll come back. And then this week, because enable sometimes. Let me answer the question back. Just leave it blank, yeah, just press enter into yes. Okay,
So,
does anyone have questions over there? Yeah.
like this,
Yeah, you can copy and paste it. Correct. Yeah, so.
I mean, I just try that.
Okay, so that means that. Yeah, I think for those of you, when you do rep listen and it's not outputting anything, check your server.
Okay, so now I can do the. Zero. It's already on it, and yeah, it's like. So we'll. And you got. And then copy this. We're already. Oh. So this, we're already, so you just already. Okay, so now. But. And now, we're not gonna let that. Yeah. Okay, like where we're at. Right, and then. Yeah, just remember, I could have, just in the audience, but. You just need that, so I don't know, that's normal. So I'm just waiting.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I figured that was the violation. Okay, so he's saying that like the two CH root. You gotta make sure, so go back to the file, so start with this right here and make sure this match. Oops.
So that's permissions.
That's would be my next step, is to, that's compile is the one that's giving you the issue. That's fine, yeah, it already created when you created the user directory. You have to do CD, yeah, so well, look at the next step. Yeah, you have to do, yeah, so CD test FTP 37. The first one, CD test FTP. All right, so I think some question came up, right? I'm gonna address it because I know some of you might get stuck right there.
And then I'll continue. So I think when you're doing the listen right here, if it's not outputting anything, it's because this account was not activated correctly. That means that you have to go into the configuration file and make sure that it is right. This file, this lovely file, and then you just got to make sure that you go and find your CH root account information. So if you enable this one instead of this one, because this one is just listenable, right? Nothing, it doesn't really do anything. You have to make sure it's this one. Good catch. Control X. All right, coming back. Okay, so where we left off was I'm in test FTP folder. I'm gonna make a subfolder. So make dir FTP. And after that, we're gonna move inside it and we're gonna make another folder called upload. So cd FTP and then make dir upload. And you want upload and download folder or upload folder to be separate or inside the other folder because you want to control its permission down the line. Okay. Now what we're going to do after that, after you make the folder, you're going to go back into the main. So you're going to get out of all of this folder by doing a CD. In Windows, a CD ... but in this one, to move backwards, you just do a CD and it took the path off. See that? So we get off of these folders, we move out of them, and then we're gonna go into the root. Now from here, what you're gonna do is you are going to change ownership of the folder that you created, which is FTP under test FTP for the nobody no group. Okay. So we're gonna set the owner to be nobody. So that's when you do a ch own, that's changed ownership. And then you are going to modify the permission for that folder. Okay, by doing a chmod. So if people ask you, how do you change permission on Linux? You do a chmod. How do you change ownership of a directory or a file? You do a chown. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we are going to set the permission for the user that we created for the upload folder. Okay. Because that's the point, was to make a folder so that way they can access it. And then after that, we're going to make a file, right? And put it inside the upload folder called text1.txt. But inside that file, we're going to append this string, this line. So we're going to put this line and put it in the file. You can do a touch, which is, basically one command, but in this case, you would combine the two commands by doing an echo and a T. And after it creates a file, it basically output like what's in that file, the content. So if you want more in the content, you would put it into the quotation mark. And let's try. We're gonna log in, so we're gonna use this and our IP address. So FTP-P and then 10.0.2.15. And we're gonna try anonymous. Yeah, it's gonna deny. Why do you think that's denied on this one? In my 27B, I did the configuration file a little bit differently, but the reason why, even when we did the configuration for anonymous to be enabled on a configuration file, right? You saw that appear. Right here, yes. But you have to know that that user is not on the user list. So it's not gonna let the anonymous log in. Okay? We're gonna do a buy. And then we're gonna do the same thing again. And we're gonna try with test user. Right? Oh, why do I have? I'm getting login failed to the test user. Oh yeah, so no, they're not gonna log in here. So remember that we need to, so the answer for this is to modify user or ACL. From FTP. I'm gonna fix this down the line. So we have to go through and modify additional ACLs. Same thing, right? We gotta make sure that we change the permission for the user for the access. Okay. So even if you saw that in this lab, it's a little bit different than my other classes. Even if you modify the configuration file, which the attacker can, you still have other component that you are controlling with permission because it is a layer type of control, right? So we would say no here, right? So when I say ACLs, that's usually permissions to the objects. Okay, so next, we're gonna switch gear. We're gonna get out of, you can still stay on this route. That's because sometimes that's better for Nmap. Otherwise, you do sudo. So Nmap is an active scanner. It's definitely gonna be the system who you're scanning is gonna know that you're scanning. It's not stealth. Okay. So we are gonna scan our system to see if it has any kind of anonymous access with FTP. And when you do this, you basically running an NSE, which is Nmap's scripting engine. It is a set of script that you can plug into the application itself through the command script. Okay, so let's do this. And I have my port 21 enabled for FTP. And then I just need to type in the IP address of my target or the system that you're scanning. So if you did everything correctly with FTP, it should show that there is one port open. And because we got denied with anonymous access, it didn't really track anything anonymous, but it did show us that this is the version of vsftpd that we're using for our FTP. So when you see this and the operating system we're using.
Excuse.
Yeah.
You need to.
It's L, not I. L as in layering. So yeah, retype that with an L, or you can copy and paste it. Any other questions?
You have to be on this. Because when you're accessing your directory, it belongs to your application. Regular views do not have any of this in there, otherwise they'll.
All right, so when you run this, right, you should be able to see. So take a screenshot, what kind of information is displayed for the FTP server. So I get its software version, right? So you know that this is the package that we installed to run FTP. It shows the port and the state, the port that's open, right? The port state. And then the operating system information. You're gonna get the same information, sometime a little bit more information, but a lot of the times, you know, it depends on the command and the option that you're using. So on the next one, we're gonna do an SV and an SE. So I'm gonna SV and a dash lowercase SC, and then we're gonna do an IP. So on this one, it's about the same information as what you've seen before, right? But we can see that it also show, because we didn't do verbose, but it did scan like 999 other ports that are, but those are closed, so it didn't report that to you. And then so compared to that, what else do you see? You saw that it did scan some of the closed ports. So when you have that scan, just know that it's gonna require a little bit longer in time, and possibly that the listen will be detected, your scan. And then if I'm doing an SO, so you can just up arrow key and change your option. Like take this out and then just add the capital O. And so it's still able to scan, and it tells you that 249 closed protocols, those are just basically services that are not used. And then the assessment, it's looking at that, it's not successful in that. So and then sometime you have to use other options. So we can do an SV only, which is the next step. S capital V. And it's about the same, right? To the last one that you saw. So when you use an SV with an SC earlier, you are looking at closed services where you know, SV is for service, right? SC, we're looking at additional. So now you can zoom in on the type of service that you want to use for your attack. So you would then use a port 21. Because we know that that's an open port from our scan earlier. So you can do an SV, or I'm sorry, an SC with the IP and then the port number. So let me take this out. And then that's a dash P and then 21. So if you're only focusing on that port, right, it will tell you the state of that port. And so this is pretty quick. Instead of if you're running the SV, it's gonna scan the other ports too, right? So if we're only checking for port 21, if anonymous login is allowed here, it would say something here. Since, you know, Linux is really simple. If it doesn't have information, it keeps it blank. So if you don't have anything, it's not gonna show you additional stuff if it doesn't have it, right? How is it gonna come up with information if it doesn't have it? So you can say no. No information. And then the operating system that's listed, you saw it's Unix or Linux. And the services, we identified that it provides FTP. So as you move through the command, you would see that it is slightly different in the output. But because our system only have that option available, that service available, it doesn't really give you too much information. SV. FTP. If you scan it, it would show it. Yeah, see how mine, it shows the.
All of that. Oh, okay. So those are for right. They just show kind of. As I mentioned, so that means that you have to do it. Those right. If you modify. So if you go down. If it fails, or if you close it, so it should. Oh, yeah, because whenever you use FTP, you're in the FTP, so you want to do that. So. No, yeah, but the IP address, you gotta plug it in like the 10,000. Yeah, so whenever you see the highlight of the IP, you will plug it in. Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah, you can't, because, if you check your service and your service is enabled properly, and if you user, so you have to change the user. Yeah, we removed the right, so when you do a CIS27, you basically remove the right permission for the user. But there is no permission control that needs to be. Yeah, that, no, so not. And then the only one. Might be a little advanced exercise for courts and protocol, but.
Maybe I'll reconsider this exercise in the future class. But you guys see, this is actual application of what you would scan and what you would see, right? Only on one server. So we would scale this to other things. All right. And then when you do the A is going to give you more information because it is an aggressive scan, right? It would tell you that these are the Linux versions, so it is a little bit more precise compared to the last one. It tells you how far is the network distance hop. That means one, how many system in between. Okay, so 0 hops. So I am, the server here, so it doesn't have any additional hops, but if there are routers in between, it will tell you. And then if the OS is incorrect, you can submit the report. So aggressive scan definitely is giving you useful information, right? So it's guessing the OSs and it tells you the accuracy percentage. And if you are in 27B, you know how it's able to guess the OSs. So,
Miss Casey?
Yeah.
How do I copy and paste it here? From here, this way?
So highlight what you need to copy. Right click it. Select copy. And then put in here, you're still not done with that, so. Right click here, left click. And we gotta get out of that, so you have to finish that task if you weren't done. All right, now you can finish it.
Push here and then.
Right click and then click.
the clipboard or paste selection, I'm sorry, paste selection.
Enter.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, so let's stop recording.